Good morning. This is a very important message. We're running out of time. Time to get stocked up is what I'm talking about, because this event that we're watching is actually on the internet. Look it up, Event 201, where Bill Gates Foundation and Johns Hopkins University and some other organization, they had a huge event called Event 201, where it was in October 2019, just last year, and the name of the event is a global pandemic exercise. This was an exercise to, they spent a lot of time and effort into understanding how a global pandemic event would take place, and then the next thing you know, it's taking place. This event is a man-caused mainstream media, hyped up hysteria with one purpose in mind. The conquest of the United States has to happen. The people that control the global government, the global elite, banker Paul Warburg, chairman of the Federal Reserve, said this a long time ago. He said global government's coming, whether you like it or not. It's going to happen one way or another, either by consent or by conquest. The conquest of this country is underway. This is taking us apart. There's an old saying, united we stand, divided we fall. Is there any more effective way to divide a country than to have each and every citizen be told, go to your own home, shut the door, and stay inside and separate yourself from everybody else? That's a total dividing of our society. When in fact, if we all got together and talked about what was happening, this truth would become evident. It would be obvious. This coronavirus is a tool being used to destroy our country. This is an exercise. There was even a Mike Pompeo on May 21st was speaking, with Donald Trump beside of him, when he said this is a live exercise, and President Trump in the background said, "You should have told us." The fact is, I'm in Nevada. I think 5 people have died in Nevada from it, which, people die. They do. They get old and they die. And if something comes along and they're old and ready to die and then they die, did they die from what came along, or did they die because it was their time to die anyway? And they were older and weak. Which is the case, because I think nationwide now we're up to maybe 600 deaths in a nation of 370 million. So that's about 1.5 people in a million are dying from this, and that, we need to have a global pandemic and shut the whole country down because one person in a million dies from something. It's totally ridiculous. But what it is it's prophetic fulfillment, and a merciful God is allowing it, because the events that are happening are for the purpose of a wake-up call to those who are listening and who are awake. Need to understand that grocery store shelves can be empty. There could be no toilet paper. Restaurants could close. There could be nowhere to get anything to eat. You have to stay in your own home. Guess what? If you have to stay home, you have to have food in your home. And so this is a huge wake-up call for those who are understanding that it is a wake-up call, and that the real problem is coming next is grid down. The power grid's going to go down. They're planning it. They've been planning it for a long time, and I discovered and recognized it in Bible prophecies of years and years ago. And I've been telling people that everybody needs to stock up, have food in your homes. And the scripture that I see happening right now is Isaiah chapter 33, New International Version is the clearest. It talks about highways are desolate. There's no travelers on the roads. It says people are burned to lime. It says, your breath will be like a fire that will consume you. Well, your breath like a fire that will consume you is talking about radiation and fallout dust in the air. This toxic dust in the air, not something you want to breathe in. So the respirators are something that would be good to have, but the right time to get this kind of stuff is not when everybody's in a panic and they see a problem in their face. The time to get the stuff is when things are normal. And this is why I'm making this video, is because I'm going to tell you we're going to get back to normal times for a brief while. It's not going to be very long, because what we're witnessing is called a birth pain. In the prophecies, it says there will be wars, rumors of wars, and signs and troubles, and these are the beginning of birth pains. Well, this is not the beginning of a birth pain. This is like a woman in a maternity ward. And this woman in a maternity ward, you can hear her clear down the hallway hollering, ah, because this contraction is so intense. And then we know this. A birth pains come and go. The process is not going to stop till the birthing is over. And the good news is, birthing brings forth new life. None of us would be alive today, but our mothers suffered birth pains, and that's why we're here and why we're alive. And this birth pain process we're witnessing, it's ongoing right now. It's the birthing of God's kingdom of heaven on this earth. There's going to be a glorious new future of 1,000 years of peace on earth. Isaiah 2 says, never again will men train for war. That's a long time. It says, swords will be beat into plowshares, spears into pruning hooks. Those are implements of agriculture. Food production will be there'll be plenty of food for everybody. But we're going to see a war like you've never seen before. There's an event coming called the Great and Dreadful Day of the Lord, which comes in June, which is the next birth pain. But between birth pains, a woman's body requires a period of resting and recovering from the last traumatic contraction to get ready for the next one that's going to be even more intense. And that's where we're at. So you're going to have this one opportunity of a month or two to go when things are normal and get busy stocking up. Because then next time, it's not just going to be restaurants, casinos in Nevada, and schools shut down. It's going to be the gas stations, the grocery stores, everything shut down. The whole country shuts down. The highways are desolate. There's no travelers on the road. And 2 Peter 2:6, the Lord condemns Sodom and Gomorrah by burning them to ashes and making them an example of what is going to happen. So it's simple. Cities are going to burn. It's a nuclear attack. Skies are full of smoke. And the daughter of Soleimani, the slain Iranian commander who was killed by the drone, at his funeral in the country of Iran, in the city of Tehran, there was over 1 million protesters all chanting death to America. The lady, I watched a YouTube video interviewing a young college student, speaking good English, by the way, and he said, revenge must happen. It is certain. And this is what, and then his daughter spoke to the same crowd of an angry 1 million people saying, oh, dark days are coming on the United States for what they've done to her father. And I thought, what a choice of words to say dark days are coming on this country. And then she said we will flatten their spider web, which is the web. The web controls the drone. This is why we have to recognize what has happened. The drone killing that Iranian commander is like a baseball bat hitting a hornet's nest. Every world leader now recognizes no amount of security can stop a drone. Putin could spend the whole day in the Kremlin doing Russian presidential stuff. At the end of the day, he could have a car in a parking lot, a Mercedes with bulletproof windows. He could be escorted with 24 guards out there to his car. Nothing can stop a drone from showing up. The whole world sees, and then Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Secretary General, on a few days after the funeral, he makes a speech. We're living in troubled times. This escalation can't. He says, my message is simple and clear. Stop escalation. Use maximum restraint. Renew international cooperation. Restart dialogue. Anyway, he's talking to the United States. They're the global government. It's international law. We're a nation that is being viewed by the whole world as breaking the law, that we have to be arrested. So nations are coming together. It's called the Day of the Lord. A large and mighty army comes. That's in chapter 2 of Joel. And it says the skies will be full of smoke. The land will be before them like the Garden of Eden, which California was been commented on mainstream media. I've heard reporters making the statement that today California is commonly referred to as the world's modern Garden of Eden. So there's going to be a military attack on this country to take us down, and it's all for the purpose of establishing a global government that requires every nation on the planet to be in submission to them and acknowledge that they're the higher power with the authority to rule over every country on the earth. And they have a problem. It's this United States of America that refuses to be subject to international law. And so conquest of this country is coming. That's what the four horsemen in Revelation 6. The first rider rides out as a conqueror bent on conquest. It's the conquest of this country. That's the seal breaking. It's the breaking of the water in a contraction. A birth pain contraction is going to follow this one. There's going to be a period of rest. Then the next contraction will be the breaking of the seal, like on the sac of amniotic fluid, and the water breaks and the birth canal is lubricated. And then a woman has told me that that's when it really becomes painful. Yeah, well, if you think this is painful now, you've seen nothing yet. This day is coming where this country is going to be attacked. It says when summer's near, it's at the door. It talks about farmers grieving over wheat and barley out in the field. So right now, you can acquire large quantities. I've been on the phone with companies that I know that I've resourced. They can sell me 2,000-pound tote bags of wheat for 32 cents a pound. I stopped at a grocery store in Dayton the other day, a Smith store. The grocery store shelves were empty from one end to the other, except there was one small sack of wheat called farro, some kind of ancient grain. It was $6.19, said right on the label, 1 pound of wheat, $6. So, oh my goodness, I can buy wheat for 32 cents a pound, and they got a label on here for $6 for 1 pound of wheat. Well, Revelation 6, the third horse, the black horse, it says that it'll be a day's wages for 1 quart of wheat, and it was about the size of a quart. And so there you go. Stock up, get your money out. Your money is there to take care of you for when you need an emergency. Emergencies are coming. But there's nothing more important than taking care of your body, which requires that you be fed and that you stay warm. The Bible talks about you don't want to be cold and hungry. So whatever resources you have available to you, use them. Because on the day of the Lord and the grid goes down and the cell phones don't work and the power, nothing's working, the internet's shut, no amount of money in stocks and markets and banks and institutions, credit cards, nothing's going to work then. And you could even have a big fist full of cash, $100 bills. What are you going to buy? The highways are desolate. There's nothing open. There's nowhere to go buy anything. So you got to take serious action. This is not about sitting around contemplating something. This is the time for doing. So God bless you. Be safe. And keep watching these videos. Subscribe. Tell your friends. This guy knows what he's talking about. Thank you. Bye.